But Albo recovered from his disastrous phone call with Trump by having tea with the Teals. Can you imagine it? Tea with the Teals, James. They all came round.
Yeah,
what a fun evening that must have been. Yeah. Shame I wasn't there.
Can you imagine the absolute laugh a minute?
Oh, gee.
I wonder if there was a smoking ceremony. Monique Ryan could have led the smoking ceremony where they all breathe in toxic chemicals.
I feel sorry for Anthony Albanese. It's not too often I would say this, but I actually feel sorry for the Prime Minister. Can you imagine just being surrounded by those drainers? For how long would have that...
Oh, I mean, how good that... I mean, how much fun would that be? Hanging out with Monique Ryan and Kylie Tick and all these people. But, this is actually really interesting to me because what this tells me is that Albanese is nervous. Nobody would subject themselves to a night of Teals if they didn't think, oh, my Lord, I'm going to have to maybe make a deal with these people sometime in the next coming, weeks or a month or two to maintain my seats on the Treasury benches. So there's this I think, and it goes to something else that's going on here, which is that Labour is now nervous, apparently, about a whole number of seats here. James. And this also confirms stuff that you hear if you talk to people in the Liberal Party about, seats that they're confident about picking up. There's a number of seats, and some of them include Gilmore in New South Wales, Bennelong in New South Wales, seats in Victoria that were all Robertson, very important seats. So there's 8 seats there that now Dutt needs, I think, 20 seats to win it in his own right. But I know also the Liberals are confident about a number of other seats that aren't even on this list. So this goes to show just how concerned I think Labour is right now about their state at the coming election. And one of the really interesting things that we've seen here is that if you looked at some of that seat-by-seat stuff that came out a few weeks ago, the seats where Labour has the weakest holds are the ones where the Liberal or the electorate has the most Liberal positions.
Yeah. Interesting. Definitely we've got to see, the attack on the Teals is absolutely critical. But it's not, as Rita keeps saying, it's not all about pandering to the Teals. It's attacking the Teals on the points of principle as to why they're wrong. I still have my letter, I carry around my letter, where the Teals all signed a letter demanding more financing going to UNRWA if there weren't anyone else to provide aid to Gaza. Now, have they retracted that letter? Have they said, actually, we would like to see now that UNRWA around the world is recognised as basically being a front for Hamas? Have the Teals step forward and apologise to the people in their electorates for having gone down that route? So, as we say, if Labor wants to play footsies with the Teals, let every person and every Teal electorate remember, these people will just guarantee you another Labor government. If that's what you want, vote Teal. If you don't want Labor, vote the Teals out and make sure everyone you know, your neighbours and your friends and all the rest do the same thing. They are poison.
I would go one step further. I do believe they're poison, like the Greens. In fact, the Greens and the Teals, there's very little between them. The Greens are just a little bit more radical, but they're both left of the Labor Party, and you would much rather have Labor govern in their own right than have to form any sort of a coalition with the Teals or the Greens, because that would be an even worse government than what we have seen in the last few years.
Yeah.